a lot of the time that sort of energy will correspond with some sort of pattern, like some sort of memory of the body and like way of responding to something that it'll like be connected to. Like a trying to meet a need, trying to
Hi, welcome. Today we have Noelani, the Death Witch behind the Scarlet Muse. She helps magical people and patterns, eras, and identities with ritual and somatic integration. Helping people grow their magic through good death is one of her favorite things. And along with studying consciousness and hermetics, and of course, the great mystery. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to meet you in person. How are you doing today?
oh, so good. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, thank you so much. Could you please tell us more about the death that you're working with? Because I'm not sure I completely understand the concept and how it works. It's really interesting to find out more.
Yeah, absolutely. I love talking about this. Yeah, the death magic I do, it's not really about like bringing death about or ending something. It's not like dark in that way. It's about creating the conditions for like what has already started to die or what is ending like in your life, in your identities, in the patterns you're, listening in like a symptom in your body, whatever those things might be. It's creating the conditions for that to kind of like come forward and slough off, and to do that in a way where you leave lighter, you leave like with closure, tie a nice bow on whatever chapter, and then also because with any kind of creative force, if you're doing magic, your magic. If you aren't doing magic, yeah, your creativity, your life force, all of that. Um, it exists and gets to like become new things to the extent that you are willing to change and shift and let things go. And so when you carve out space and time to actually let things go and give it a good closure, you end up getting to choose like what exactly is passing away, so that you can create your new thing. Like I'm sure when you began this podcast, other things in your life needed to shift and change and make room for it. And there's now things you don't do as much.
So true. Yeah, actually, the reason why I decided to do the podcast because I have a lot of questions. After a huge psychic attack, I was like, okay, I need to ask other people and to collaborate to hear their stories, their points of view. So I'm really happy that you're here. Thank you. That's very interesting. The only thing that I'm wondering is how is it different from mentally working on it? You don't have to have realizations, you just let go energetically, or do you get the aha moment during the death that you've described?
That is such a good question, and I feel like I should go and write a lot more about it because it's getting at the meat of a really important distinction in this work. So nailing it with that. The thing that makes it really different from mentally processing it, and you can mentally process something to the nth degree. Like I got into part of like what led me into this was trying to do the same kind of thing by like writing the story of something, like the story of what happened. Um, like after a bad breakup, pretty closely timed like a bad friendship breakup as well. Um, one of those spicy ones. But the the point is, when you have ritual instead of just like intellectual processing or even like making art, you're able to connect with your subconscious, which is really running the show pretty much all the time, and communicate, yeah, with the unseen, unconscious part of you, but also like the greater forces that surround you. Like you have to at least try on the idea that in the world we are interconnected with everything else and that there is some meaning, flow, and divinity going on, behind all of that. And so it connects you to both that and to like the deeper parts of yourself. So it's just a lot quicker and easier and more profound, and like instead of maybe mentally processing something where you're kind of bypassing or maybe shaming yourself out of something, or even just like trying to work more effort, more like you can totally get results with more effort, but they're probably not going to be that fun to do. It's not going to feel like you can sink into it and relax into what's going on, and it's also not going to be as long lasting. Like it's a kind of a patch fix situation.
Got it. Well, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. And I wanted to ask if those are simply the patterns in your life, or can you also get rid of some entities or any, I don't know, energetic beings that are attached to you, for example? Because I don't know.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
you're interested in sharing, I mean, maybe you've already shared a bunch on the show, but I'd love to hear a little snippet about what is you were experiencing because yes, you can totally use it for that. And I guess the other pillar of my like the work that I do is creating rituals with people, like co-creating rituals to yeah come through whatever the transition is that you want to come through, and the transition away from having some sort of attack or entanglement or thing upon you that you don't really want. The process is not so different than like letting go of an identity and like severing, you know?
That's great because usually you cannot, with the invisible forces, you cannot do anything else other than really doing the ritual, probably, or using other tools like Reiki and stuff. So that's very curious. And after a very hard and intense energetic attack that I experienced for 2 months last year, I started like questioning a lot of things, and I can feel that, especially globally, that sacral chakra and probably root chakra as well are the most attacked chakras because they are like um, the first base chakras, and I feel like I have something attached to me that harvests my sacral energy, unfortunately, and so I've been really trying to get rid of that. So that's the reason why I've asked. So it's good to know that it works in that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, like, kind of problem solving consults, that sort of thing, like, okay, let's brainstorm something that will really work. And when I say brainstorm, I mean like outline a ritual with something that you're really comfortable with. And I'll like add to make sure it's like safe, well structured, gonna work well. Um, that's like one of the core pieces of the work I do, and I have free sessions for like doing that, like kind of one-off ones. Um, this might be a little big for something like that if it's been happening for so long, but the main offer I have as well is like one-on-one, like 5 weeks dealing with something like that.
Wow.
So you'd be
Okay.
super
Got it.
welcome if you want to.
Thank you.
It's like customized, and if you want support with that, it is, yeah, it's my whole shtick.
Okay, thank you. It's a 5 week thing because it requires so much energy and like a step-by-step process. Did I get it right?
Yeah, I also, it's not like you need to be working really hard all 5 weeks. In fact, we don't even meet all 5 weeks. It's part of the amount of time is to just let things settle, see if anything comes up before or after, and then properly address those things.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. And while releasing those, for example, attachments or entities, does it happen that there was, for example, a contract made many centuries ago, and now you're releasing that contract, for example? Are there any repercussions? Maybe you are owed in some way, or you owe them somehow. I don't know how it all works, but just in case that karmically you will be fine afterwards.
I see what you're saying, and that is a really interesting concept, right? Like, wait, what contracts, what things from the past, what things from the future, how will it change? Like, if we're in this like network of connected ideas and agreements, and that's something that it really makes me think of like the eighth house of astrology, which is like all about like old contracts and that sort of thing. When we're dealing with that sort of scenario, which exists for sure, there like there's a level that like okay this is going on, but it can totally be dealt with. It doesn't come up that much. And in terms of, I guess, who the players are on the scene,
Hmm.
as living people, we've got special and unique powers to begin and end things that nothing on another plane has in the same way. It's like a special, yeah, it's a special power. It's a privilege of being like an incarnate, alive person in a body. And so you've got the upper hand in that whole scenario. And I don't love things where it's like, okay, there's a hierarchy of, this is better than this is stronger than this, all of that. But with whatever, say there was like some kind of attachment or, yeah, a contract, whoever, like whatever beings would be involved in that contract are going to be less coherent, less strong, less able to kind of manage themselves.
Hmm.
Oh, something just fell.
Okay.
But yeah, less able to manage themselves than like we as conscious beings are. So there's like kind of basic protections you could like continue to do, but that will like start to dissipate on its own. And it's
Okay.
something that has come up extremely rarely for me
Oh,
in my work.
okay. Thank you. Good to know. Good to know. I don't know. I just think about all the possible scenarios that can come up during, for example, releasing something. And besides, I don't have a lot of memories about my past lives, so you never know. So I'm trying to figure that out. So thank you for clarifying. And you work with the goddess Babylon, right? Can you tell us about her more?
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, of course, of course. And I just want to make sure if you've got any specific thing you wanted to talk about with like, oh, what about this contract? Or if I'm releasing, is something going to go wrong? I'm happy to get into like a specific example, or I can keep going.
Okay, I don't have a specific contract, but I'm just thinking that maybe, because, especially if I were a witch in the past life, probably I've made a contract with some entities that weren't super nice to me, probably. Or maybe the attachment that I have right now is either a part of the psychic attack, a part of the system, the matrix that we're in, or it comes from the ancestral line. So I don't have a lot of information about that. I'm still trying to figure out what these are because I think what I have nearby, they look more like they or this person looks more like a reptilian type of entity, or the one that pretends to be that way. So I'm trying to, I don't know, uncover the whole plan behind our world, the light and dark, and all the aliens that live here. And unfortunately, I don't have the specific example of the contract yet. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's totally, totally fine. And yeah, it's a fascinating thing. I do want to say, like, if you've got a past life thing going on, um, at least like my take on that and read on the whole situation is like not a lot of contractual stuff is gonna continue through like a thread of different lives.
Oh, good
So
to
you're
know.
probably good on that front. But where you might see something like that are it's probably going to be like an ancestral thing where it's like, okay, this is in your family line and something that perhaps other people have struggled with. It might exist. A lot of the time, the best thing to do for something like that, where it's just like hanging around, you're like, oh my God, has this been with me forever? And why is it flaring up now? And what is even going on? And what kind of a sick joke is this? Um, those kind of questions a lot of the time that sort of energy will correspond with some sort of pattern, like some sort of memory of the body and like way of responding to something. Um, it's that it'll like be connected to, like a trying to meet a need, trying to survive in some way. And so you can specifically, even if you don't know all about it, you can specifically do like detachment and like detangling. Um, Yeah, I guess just because it's a real pain to have some like a barnacle on your ass. Um, you can sit in like meditative space and imagine like where you feel it on your body, and with your like mind's eye, but then your actual hands start to feel it and then pull it out. um,
Got it.
and then
Yeah.
like
Okay.
sever the cords, and then you let, I'll just go ahead and get into it. Then you would let your, like a future, a little bit further down the line version of yourself, like an entity like that, um, fill the shape that that thing was, like whatever hole was left or whatever. Like say it feels like it's like an iron collar on your neck or like a weird spine in your belly or something like that. You'd like have your future self
Mhm.
come and like fill that in the same way, so it's like touching in the same way, and then you would have, you'd like ask the other thing, their future evolved self, to come and like attach to them in the same way they were attaching to you, and then you'd be like, okay, bye, and you'd let them
Oh,
go on
that's
their way and you'd go on your
genius.
way.
Thank you. That's genius. Thank you so much. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a great thing in your back pocket. But I'm gonna answer your original question here. I've gotten like way off here. Uh,
Great. Thank you so much.
about the
I'll do that.
goddess.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. And definitely, if you've got follow-up questions or you want more specifics, I'm happy to give you them. Text me. Yeah.
Thank you. Mhm.
About Babylon and about the devotional like aspect of my business and my work. Yeah, Babylon is a thelemic goddess. She's like the thelemic goddess, pretty much. And she's also called the Red Goddess, or the Scarlet Woman.
Mhm.
And she is like, her whole thing is accepting and like joyfully getting off on all of the sensations and experiences of being alive and like of Earth, and all the like nuances and dynamics of that. So there's something very alchemical about her, where you like alchemy in the sense of taking something dull and unpleasant and unvaluable and turning it into something wonderful and valuable and like useful to you, like the lead of experience into the gold of meaning and enjoyment and turn on.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
I she's very connected with the idea of like Pan, um, or like the Dionysian idea, that kind of Kairos, forest, nature, spirit, like kind of beastly image of the world. And then this is like the reception of the world. That's her concept. It's like, okay, yeah, here's this strange beast, like wild, creative beast of the world. And then here is getting to experience it. And yeah,
that's cool.
she's great.
And you can
Really, really
literally,
generous goddess.
oh, really? And you can literally feel her presence while going through the death, right? She kind of
Yeah,
assists
well,
you. Okay.
and I wouldn't say this is that's the way for everybody. I specifically invite her in for that. Um, and it's not every single one of my client relationships. I do have her in every single one of my like group rituals that I offer. In like the event, I have a monthly event called Alchemy Altar. I have her in all of those, and yeah, she is a huge help. You wouldn't really think that it's a close association with death. And there's plenty of death goddesses you could use, like Dumavati or the Morrigan, um, like more crone energy. But she's really, really happy to experience and like share the sensation of a difficult thing or of like a taboo thing. And that's what makes it so useful because, yeah, she's pretty excited and will has this like very raw, creative, like, okay, yes, force, and like the fulfillment of desire is the only thing that allows desire to evolve. So part of actually letting something go and ending it is, in at least some degree, being like, yeah, this was this story, and these were the things that were cool about it, and like writing almost like a eulogy, like in an energetic way. So she's really helpful for that, and then really helpful for moving energy. So those are
That's
some of the
amazing.
reasons why I work with her.
Thank you, thank you. And I've always been wondering if working, for example, with dark goddesses or gods, create any karmic debt, or do you owe them anything in exchange for the assistance and energy that they provide?
That is a great question. I would say, in general, no, but I have a caveat, and it's very relevant this week. Uh, the caveat is that they might ask, they might be like, hey, like if you're doing a ritual and you're asking for something and you've brought offerings, they might ask for a promise or something else, which I would not recommend saying yes to. I've never, I've been asked like once or twice for things where I was just like, I'm not giving you that. We're not
Why?
promising this. Like, that's not happening here. Like, I'm willing to walk. I got other people I can call. Like, we're good. Um, and it's fine.
Okay.
It's like it's not a big deal to do that. But once I did, even after being cautioned, like I'm cautioning now against doing that, I offered a book, uh, like a dedicated book, in exchange for, yeah, a piece of magic I really wanted done. And so I thought, like, I thought, like, oh, I can do it in 9 months. That's fine. I offered it to like be published in dedication in 9 months. And yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work at all. I mean, I got what I wanted. Like the magic worked and it worked really well. But I didn't do the book and this is like 2 years later and that's the book I'm putting out this week is like that one where I got around to it and I already can feel like I can almost feel like I'm looking over a hill and the hill things are easier and clearer and brighter. And I feel like there's been some kind of not hampering. I don't feel like it's been dark. I don't feel like it's been a bummer, but I have definitely felt the sort of like hanging over pressure. And when I realized I had enough content to make a book, I was like, oh my god, let me get this off my chest and like let me do it. And I just feel like, I mean, writing a book is kind of hard, whether you are doing it as part of a spell you promised or you're just doing it normally. Um, but I feel there was some weirdness to the process that went on. Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend, but it's not a risk. My karma's not like ruined and I don't feel that there's problems in a trail after me. This is literally the only time I did this and I wrote it and
Yeah, that's great.
it'll be pub I'll have washed my hands of the whole affair in 2 days. And it wasn't a bad affair. It wasn't. Yeah.
Congratulations on your book. Yeah, we're excited to
Thank you.
read about the book and everything. Now that we know that you've dedicated it to one of the goddesses, right? You said it's
Yeah, to
dedicated.
Babalon.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have a book coming out. It's called The Silver Thread, Lunar Astrology, Moon Mysteries, and Death Magic. And it's all about how to work with the moon and different moon time scales and that kind of astrology and just how to let the moon support you more in your day-to-day life. It's like the culmination of like 4 years of working closely with the moon and this last year of teaching quite a bit about the moon, who is like one of our most useful witnesses and like a ferry between like life energy and death energy when you look at the dark moon and the full moon. Really cool cycle model there. And yeah, it's been really fun. And I'm like starting to focus more on the death work and the ritual side of my practice, which I'm really excited about. But it's been such joy to like work with the moon for so long and teach about it. And so I've got all of this information I've put together into a guide, and that's the book. And it's coming out on the full moon on Saturday, so May 2nd. Yeah, and it's available on my website.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. That's so
Yeah, thanks for
exciting.
asking.
Sounds exciting. Yeah. So only on your website it will be possible to order it, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I'll check that out later. And going back to the something that you owe them or not, does it happen to you, for example, if they ask for something you don't give them, and then they take something away from your life, for example, or something negative happens?
Oh, no. But I do have a pretty strict like vibe check at the door with who I would work with. If I feel like anything a little shifty is going on. It's an absolute no. I do protect my space with containers that are grounded into like earth energy and then star energy, and have four directional guardians that will like hang out and hold that space for me. But the most important thing is just like general discernment. And yeah, I've never had a problem with any like slipperiness or shady characters, just because if they are like, at least energetically, like you get yourself into a clear space to do that. And if you're like letting anybody in or striking any deals or asking for help with anything, that it's very important that you feel comfortable and like you like that character, and that you're willing to only engage on terms that are good for you. And even pretty serious dark forces if you want to go there. And I can't say I've spent a lot of time, but I have spent some. If you do want to go there, you've just got to be firm, and that's all. No repercussions. Just firmness. And if there's anything you're not going to want to agree to, just don't agree to it. And be like, war deals off. I'm out. We can maybe talk later. Maybe not.
I love it. The power of free will. Wow. Okay, good to know. That's amazing. But why are they willing to help us? That's the thing that I'm also wondering about, because I thought that they would rather watch us suffer, for example, because of the battle between the light and the dark. At least that's what's been going on the internet, that we're like in the battle.
I hear ya. I feel like the sort of good evil thing isn't something I really subscribe to that much. I mean, I'm aware it's a kind of wild time to be alive, and there's definitely like much more coherent forces, and then much like more like less like more of like a chaos thing going on. So I guess I look at it a bit more in that lens, but a lot of the forces that are like so-called bad or evil forces, stuff like that, I feel that a lot of the way they show up is more in service to us and our experience than it is like against or like wanting to suffer. It's kind of like when you have something that like just triggers the shit out of you. You know, like something happens and you're just like, oh my god. And you know, it's like not even necessarily about that thing, but it's the way that it reminded you. And then you're suddenly like way back in time, like Bummer City, upset. It's not like the trigger happening or whatever triggered the trigger happening um, is like trying to get you or trying to get you to suffer. It's trying to like poke you in your soft spot so that you might know you have an area of your consciousness, your experience, your memory, your operating system, um, that has an unresolved thing that's bringing you suffering. So even though it's like a pretty unpleasant process to be triggered, um, it's also like a neon sign to like, please apply care here. Please reevaluate your way that you engage with this thing. Please reevaluate your boundaries when it comes to this area. So I feel like if you're talking about like angels and demons, for example, the demon role is much more like to poke at things like that and to be integrated in a way that is weirdly like very in service of people. And I'm not to say that it couldn't get out of hand and that there can't be problems from that, but I'm kind of suspicious of a binary view that it is a good versus evil, even though I totally like polarities when it comes to this sort of stuff. Like I love death, life, light, dark, but I don't really I see them in a more of a non-dual way.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much for sharing. I share the same kind of opinion, but sometimes I doubt myself, especially after the attacks. I'm be like, now I'm thinking that maybe you aren't that neutral. But yeah, you're right. I managed to work on myself last year because of them. So I gotta be thankful. But also, people say that now the Earth is ascending and that dark forces have less access to the earth. I don't know if you believe in that. Do you have a specific opinion? And can you feel that some dark goddesses or gods are less reachable?
Well, I I do know what you mean, and I've heard a lot of different explanations about why that is, like, and why that energetic shift is happening. But one of the things that I've noticed the most is it's not necessarily like there's less chaos or there's less problems, or even less like dark forces going on. Like clearly we're seeing a lot of like dark things happen. Um, what I see is less is getting done and through forcing energy, like just power through, just like suffer through it, just make it happen, just like sort of like power through instead of like nuance and relationship and like can tend and like work in a cycle. And I feel like that power through energy is a less coherent frequency. So that not working anymore is the biggest place I've seen that. When it comes to like a dark god or like a dark goddess, those like the pantheons, like I guess that part of any pantheon, if you want to go Norse, Hindu, Greek, Egyptian, Roman, any of those, you will find dark energies or like a dark polarity, like the underworld or goddesses or like I guess deities that rule over death endings, um, things you didn't want to have happen, like sudden change, like chaos itself. Even I do not think those would be included in the sort of change or like the ascension or a transition away from incoherent or like darker forces because those aren't like forces for chaos, forces for destruction. Like, yes, they literally are chaos and destruction, but it's chaos and destruction in its rightful place in the spectrum of humanity, of consciousness, of cycles. Like, for example, the moon cycle. There is a phase for each kind of energetic state of being. Like the new moon, just the seed, something starting out. First quarter, sort of a challenge, there's a growing thing, there's like some sort of effort into what you're building. Full moon, there's either a culmination, it happens, or if you didn't prepare right, like doesn't happen. Some illumination though. And then last quarter, you're sustaining your work, you're like spreading it out, you're seeing like how you want to integrate that. And then at the end, the like waning and then all the way down to the balsamic and dark moon. This is like whatever the story, whatever the props were for the set, whatever the emotional arcs that were going on, those are starting to dissipate. Oops, dissipate, disappear, become compost for the new thing. And that process of breaking down, ending, letting go, um, becoming darker and like more mysterious, it isn't bad. It's not like a bad force is coming and like taking away the cycle. It's like an essential thing to foster the next one's beginning. And so I feel that like quote unquote dark gods and goddesses are all going to fall in that sort of waning balsamic dark moon phase, where you can't remove them and still have a cycle work. You know, they're crucial and they're not any harder to reach because of like consciousness changes in the world. Though the consciousness changes in the world are super real. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're so wise also. I love your energy, by the way. You're very cozy. Like I've listened to an episode of your podcast. So relaxing, so insightful. So thank you for joining here as well.
Ah, thank you so much. I love to hear that, and yeah, those things are very important to me. So I'm delighted. I feel like a little flush in the cheeks, but whew.
Is there anything specific you would like to discuss? Because I think we've touched on the all the aspects I wanted to.
Yeah, okay, sure. Um, I would love to get a little bit more if you would explain like where you're coming from and what the sort of different threads you're pulling in when you're thinking about like, wait, dark and light and how that's changed since the attack you experienced. Yeah, I'm just super curious.
Okay, let me gather my thoughts. It's been so messy because I feel like you, after having heard your point of view, I feel like you are indeed right because those experiences, although they were messy and horrible and I suffered a lot, they eventually helped me to release a lot of the things. But there's something that I'm still trying to work on, the entity attachment that I've mentioned. But where I come from, not the country, but who I am, right? I identify myself as a star seed, but I don't know my star origin. And the psychic attack started in March last year, and it felt more like a black magic attack, which it was probably possible. And I couldn't sleep at night because I felt energetically how I'm being like hit my legs and everything. Then I had bruises on my legs, and it lasted for several weeks. And then I got my throat chakra kind of blocked, so I couldn't even focus. My vision was blurred. um and and then like it was a series of different types of attacks. So basically the first one was in a way that it looked like a black magic attack, which was my first time facing such a thing, which was super powerful. I wasn't able to sleep. I had like two devices on with videos, some Reiki video and the other one from black magic stuff, to be able to sleep a little bit, not to feel anything. And then I was even sometimes pushed energetically. For example, if I was crossing a road, like in the car were passing by, I was like energetically pushed towards the car. So it was kind of weird. And then somehow I started hearing the voices that would tell me like, you're from Orion, which I don't think my soul origin is from Orion starseed, but star system. But I think I might have had lives there during the Orion Wars. And so basically, I was told, you're from Orion, don't tell them who them. But anyway, don't tell them that you're from there, otherwise I'll attack you. And then somehow,
Oh boy.
yeah, it developed. Oh, there was so many levels. I was attacked. It was like a thing that um, I was told that I was attacked by someone from Mars, and
Mhm.
then um, oof, it was so messy. I'm so sorry. It
No,
was
I'm on the edge
horrible.
of my seat here.
It was horrible because um I just didn't know how to face it all. After the Mars, they somehow told me about Lucifer, so something wasn't super coherent. And then somehow I ended up having visions of something that now has been uncovered a year later about the thing. So I was like, why did I get those visions at that time? So I'm suspicious now of the thing. Yeah. And I was blamed, saying that I was a bad person. And basically, I was somehow forced to end my life in a way. Because the first, like that I mentioned, the car, and then I was told, oh, uh, well, that's such a bullshit. I'm not sure I want to share that because I am still ashamed that I believed in that. I feel I wasn't doing well. I didn't sleep for a month by that time, so I didn't sleep well. But yeah, they really wanted to convince me to end my life. And then they told me that I'm being attacked by the dark forces, and I was chased basically. Otherwise, I could feel them attacking my legs. I don't know why legs. But eventually, I worked on a lot of the things because I had the idea of that I'm not worthy to live. So basically, there was that thing that they were poking on, and but I'm still wondering about the vision that I got because it's like it's strange. But I know that I have some issues with sacral chakra, like the trauma, because I grew up in the environment where it was like a lot of shame behind that. But I think also generationally, there's been like a sexual assault or something, probably somewhere, also in my past lives, probably as well. So I feel like
Hmm.
energetically, there is this kind of a thing that I can feel, which is horrible. and maybe I was one of the kids there. I don't know, but it
I
felt
see what you
horrible.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Eventually, somehow I made it out alive, and it ended. But I started to think that I need to more or less figure out where I come from, because unfortunately I cannot remember. And the other thing that I forgot to mention was that my higher chakras were blocked, were sealed at one point of time. It felt like it was sealed. I couldn't meditate. Everything was kind of dark and lonely. It felt lonely as well. And I was basically approached by those who were pretending to be light beings. They was like, "Oh, I'm the god. Those are archangels," but they weren't. So, yeah, the blocks that I had on the higher chakras, they intensified. I could feel the pressure on my head. It was horrible, and it felt so lonely. I was so shook from the divine. I don't know. It was horrible. Eventually, I got rid of them, but now it's good to know. Like a couple of days ago, commented. I left a comment on Instagram somewhere, and they told me that those were archons. Archons, I don't know, like I don't know if you know them.
Arches? I don't know that
Yeah.
I do.
So beings, so those were archons, parasites, and archon implants. Beings that, with the power of their free will, decided to cut themselves off from the divine, and now they can be pretending whoever, be tricksters and everything. So I don't know, but it lasted
Okay.
for 2 overall. Yeah,
Wow. Oh, that sounds like such an ordeal.
yeah. I felt like I was crazy.
What the heck? I mean, how are you even supposed to make meaning and find your footing after something like that? I mean, what the actual heck is up?
I don't know. I'm still
Oh my
trying to.
god!
Why Mars? Why those that from the Mars? It was so specific. And in those scenarios, somehow they tried also to portray me as a betrayer. And
Hmm.
that was like the reason why I needed to end my life, or I felt guilty. Partially maybe that's also my unresolved trauma from being falsely accused in my life. The blah 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 blah. I think maybe the guilt and everything was there, and it was just poked on. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say in the like larger conception of like, okay, dark forces, light forces, sure, there's like meaning and rhythm to things, but also sometimes stuff that is just really horrible and random happens, and there isn't like a beautiful explanation for everything. And I feel that this is really one of those times. I mean, there's tools, there's like protection, there's ways to seek for meaning, but I I don't feel like you should need to work harder after such an ordeal to try and like make it fit into a story super well. Because I mean, it just seems like it's so not from you, you know?
Yeah, a lot of stories sound horrible. Also, as I said, that there wasn't coherence between this event and that event, but I was too, I guess, sleep deprived that I haven't even noticed how did we go from this to here. But overall, yeah, I'd say that it was horrible. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand because I was like, huh, maybe that was like, maybe I was just too high vibrational, and dark forces or people or aliens that use dark forces as a tool were trying to kind of target me to get rid of me. I don't know. But also my own stuff as well, because I would gladly come back home wherever I come from. But yeah, here we are. We're still here.
Right. I see what you mean. Yeah. How did it end?
I don't. Actually, it ended horribly. Because I ended up being in the hospital. Not because I was hospitalized because I was crazy, but because I was found by the police on the road that I wasn't supposed to go there, but I didn't know. I don't know the local rules because I'm not the local one. And so they
Mm-hmm.
thought that I wasn't doing well, and they brought me for a checkup, for a mental checkup, basically. I passed it. Everything went well. But I got the control back of my life. I was like, okay, I'm here in this hospital. Where is my life going? Enough with this BS. And let's just resolve whatever is going on because they literally think that I'm crazy. And I myself also think that I am. I was a little bit crazy. And then, I don't know, somehow this madness kind of ended, I think. Kinda, yeah.
Are you still feeling traces of it?
I feel only the entity that really gets my sacral energy, honestly. I just cannot even be on my own. I cannot even masturbate. Like, honestly, it just like gets taken away from me. And I hate it because I don't think it's all right. And also I can feel later in my ovaries that they're being a little bit weakened, and then probably I'll have a certain illness or something around as a result, probably in the future. But uh, also, I feel less creative afterwards. For example, if I have an energy rush, then they just like I don't know how to explain it, but the other day we and my friends we were discussing the caviar, how it's being harvesting in China right now. They're sometimes faking the day, they're speeding up the time for the caviar, so it thinks that now it's time to lay eggs, and it does like lay eggs quite often. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we're being treated in the same way as humans, because also I've heard that in the past there was no moon, and it was brought up artificially to make sure that we get our periods, to bring babies into the world. I guess I think it's possible that we're here for horrible stuff. I don't know. Um, so I'm trying to understand that on a deeper level. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's really striking. And I'm thinking about that with the way that you are like connecting to the starseed identity. Like, does any of that inform or help or kind of guide this process?
Entire life, I was feeling like I didn't belong. And I thought the problem was the country I was brought up in because they had an old-fashioned culture and everything. Then I started traveling, and nothing really changed. Now I can vibe with mostly everyone, but I feel that I belong only with high vibrational people, like that I can see in their eyes that they're probably starseeds as well. And I think that was like the only thing. Also, I love light language transmissions. I love all this stuff. And I feel like I don't belong on this planet. Although I love nature, I love animals, I love kids. And I know that I've been here for quite some lifetimes because I have a couple of things that I remember, but not all of it. The problem is that I don't know like my soul origin, or I cannot recall that. The last time I did the meditation to find out where the starseed was from, I got onto the other plane and I knew that it wasn't my home, but it was a high vibrational place where maybe I lived or stayed for a while, because I finally released the pain that I could feel with my skin. Being here is like the rejection is so high here that we can actually, or personally, I can feel the pain on like on my skin. I don't know, like my whole being can feel this level. And I'm sorry. And so doing that meditation was nice. It was healing, but I knew that it wasn't my home. So I don't know.
Right. Right. Okay. So, yeah, kind of going back to what you said with like, well, if the whole like experience of like psychic attack where it's like leading into like you should go. Like, I wouldn't mind being in another place. That would be fine. That's a striking connection right there.
Yeah. Because I feel like I'm not supposed to leave yet. I'm supposed to be here. But what can I do? I also have wonderful ideas. I don't know if eventually I'll be able to bring them here, but I would love to change a lot about our current systems, educational system, and everything. We'll see, because I've had these ideas for a very long time. Unfortunately, I didn't have resources and opportunities to really bring them into life. I don't know. Maybe I still have things to do here. Like, yeah, the feeling of that there is something important that I have to do, that my life is a mission in a way. That's also the description of starseeds that currently people are putting out in the world and the internet, that there's a feeling that there is a mission, there is something that I need to do. Yeah.
I've definitely heard that like around town, I guess around town on the internet, about star seeds, and it makes me think about what it is to like be here and like be on like in this place, like with this kind of consciousness. And I guess as somebody who works in, I guess, death work and in, I guess, like the darker side of things, like death, ending, compost, like rotting, those are all kind of harder sides of being alive, um, and more like taboo sides of being alive. I feel like I want to say and put out that while I am really like in service to bigger magic, bigger light, bigger creative force, and I'm totally somebody who's got a like a heart mission, I don't think that being like alive, being incarnate, and like even like being on a mission like that, if you're feeling reconciled and like happy about all of like doing that, it doesn't make it like an easy thing to do, and it's not super easy to exist or be here. It's just like a hardcore, kind of gross, kind of crusty, kind of crazy place to be. And I feel like there's a lot of energy that you need to put into pretending that it's not, if you are someone who's pretending that it's not, and like that if you just kind of manifest hard enough, everything could be love and light and easy. And I feel like inherently in any, like, just say yes to abundance, just say yes to a beautiful life, just say yes. It's like in all of those yeses, there's like, just say no to your doubts, just say no to the constriction, just say no to how your body's afraid, just say no to all of those things. I feel like the rich tapestry of like being alive includes a lot of monsters, a lot of like horrific stuff, and we're just like, like, and it's like a film of something on your body, and you're just like, I wish I were clean, but I'm not clean. That's all over the place. That is all over the place, and it's super real. And like hearing you speak about feeling like uncomfortable and like almost like in the wrong skin, or like, oh wow, what even is this? That feels super normal, at least to me. And I don't know anybody well who doesn't have at least a lot of objections to being alive, to being not being alive like they're having suicidal ideation, but being alive just like, wow, this place is crazy. Yeah, it's wild out here, and I don't want to leave the impression that I'm feeling completely reconciled and at ease with how everything is, or like all the experiences I've had, that sort of thing. Um, and like to the contrary, I think that like making space for a good amount of horror and strangeness, and like what even was that, and how could that have happened to me, and I had no idea, and like that still happened. And that's really one of the reasons why I work so closely with Babalon, because like as a goddess, as a deity, in practice, like in meditation and in consciousness and in like ritual, one of the main offerings that you give to Babylon, like one of her favorite things, I mean, she likes rose incense and red wine and stuff like that, but she really, really likes you to come in to like her temple, which you can visit in your mind, um, and offer, like, in front of this big, big, big glass, like, black mirror, where she, like, will appear in the mirror. She comes right out. You offer up whatever experience you're having that feels like too much to have in your body. Whatever you're just like, oh, I just want this to end. It's horrible. I hate it. I don't know. I don't like this. I can't. I just don't know. And then you watch her um, grow, like, large, stretch out, and enjoy it like the finest, sweetest nectar, because in the, like, infinite abyss of space, and to her tastes, it is the finest, sweetest nectar. And, like, oh my god, the constriction, the strangeness, the pain, the humiliation of it. Oh my god, like caviar. And she takes it, and it's not that immediately everything changes, but, like, usually in your body you end up feeling super different. And I do not know what I would do without that, because quite often I feel I have an excess of an emotion that I don't want to feel, or an experience I don't know what to do with. And yeah, I'll cut myself off there, but
Give it to her, and you don't experience anything. She does, right?
yeah. And then, eventually you come back. You almost experience it as her. Or, like, if she takes it and, like, has a whole party, and then you kind of watch that, and then you come back and you're like, oh, I feel a lot lighter. And yeah, because the thing is, a lot of the time with the horrors, um, the many horrors, they are made worse by, like, the resistance to them and the, like, objections to them, which is a sick joke, I want to say. Like, what do you mean? Is not the horror enough? But sometimes it's not enough. And it's, like, remaining stuck because there is, like, a current in your body that's like, no, not this. This isn't me. I don't like this. I can't deal with this. And so it, like, gets stuck. And even though that's weird and doesn't really make a lot of sense, it's really been my experience, and, like, I guess my gnosis of how the world works, that if you can, even for a little bit, stop, like, or even, like, say yes to the resistance. Be like, yeah, I hate this, I want it to end, and I don't know what to do at all. There it is. Even, like, interrupting the current in yourself that's like, no, 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 wrong, stop, less, bad, helps. And then things start to, like, go in a different direction, where more things are going to be happening, and you're able to, like, navigate a little more smoothly, like, less crunchy, because there's a little bit more current of, like, actually saying yes to something going on.
That makes sense. Thank you for sharing your point of view. But do you yourself identify yourself as a soul that would originate from Earth, or do you think you yourself come from another plane?
Oh, I feel I'm from Earth. I might have other things going on, as we all might, but I really like the Earth. I really like what's essentially going on here, and, like, in, like, the mystery of everything here. And I've gotten a lot of opportunities recently to speak to people who do have, like, Starseed connections, and are really interested in, like, the Palladians, the Arcturians. I really have a soft spot for the Hathors. I don't know if you know them, but love those guys. Would recommend. Yeah. It's why? Oh, sometimes these things can be a bit hard to explain. I feel they're very well. First of all, they're involved in, like, some ancient Egypt stuff. Like, this is, like, I guess the tales I've heard, right? Like, big beings, really, really into, like, a love current, um, as, like, a transformative agent, which I really like. And I can tell from, like, I guess where I had a teacher, of, like, container work. She does, like, mostly kind of shamanic sound journeys, that sort of thing. But she, like, all of her containers, like, her devotional, I guess, goddess thing is a Hathor, and so she has on the center of her altars and all of her practices one of these Hathor, like, busts. and it looks like kind of a pretty Catwoman almost, but like these super long ears and really big eyes, and um, I can't really explain why I feel an affinity for them. I do. I really like ancient Egypt stuff too. Though I must say, visiting Giza, I would not recommend that if you are still recovering from a psychic thing because I had my own experience of like psychic attack and energetic like siphoning going on there that I was able to deal with in a fairly short time because I guess it's something I'm familiar with at this point, but wouldn't it like a lot is going on there and I feel like I was kind of not very convinced before that of oh, like are dark things drawn to like a bright light, like moths to a flame a little bit. But like there's definitely something energetically going on in the pyramids, and it was really really special to go, and like, I feel like its own kind of initiation. But like there are things lurking about. There totally are things lurking about. Um, yeah, and like that was an experience from which like I now have more discernment. But yeah, big old sites, I would say put more like protections up and maybe like limit time. Just and like maybe go in a group even of other people who are kind of on the same wavelength.
Okay, thank
PSA.
you for the tip. Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess all of that to say, I really do enjoy speaking to people who are deeper into, yeah, the aliens, the other, like, oh, you're from another place. I think that's a really cool expression of consciousness. And yeah, I don't think it's me, but I love talking about it. And I think there's definitely something to that.
Yeah. Luckily, some people do remember their lives there and the language. That's what they brought, like the language, light language transmissions. And I admire them because they remember stuff. I don't.
Oh, have you visited the oh my God, what is it called? It's the library.
Akashic records? Weren't they called that way?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, thank you. Oh my God.
Thank you for your recommendation. I'm doing that. I was a little bit scared to do that.
Oh yeah?
I don't know why. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to uncover. More burden to
Oh.
carry. Years. Maybe I will just recall a war or something, and that would be really hard to make peace with. If I recall people dying or something, I think it would be harder for me to function. But I think for my own sake, I think I need to do that to just understand where I come from. Yeah. So thank you.
That's a reasonable concern, especially with like the crazy attack you had. With it, I would say, and with like any kind of working or meditation, I'll first say that like in my visits and in other people's visits, I've never heard of anything horrifying that disturbed people. But regardless of that, when you go in to do a meditation, when you go in to do a guided thing, when you go in to like visit an astral place, simply begin and say that like you are like your name, what you're doing, and that you're only interested in seeing and connecting with things that are like supportive to you and your life force. And then they'll go. Like just claim it like there, and then it's like as specific as you can be, and then you'll only get things that are like that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I didn't know that it was possible. Thank you. You've helped me so much today. Thank you so much. And thank you
Oh,
for joining once again. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and energy and just being a part of this wonderful episode.
yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've loved your questions. I'm just delighted and honored that you shared your wild story there. And if I can help you with any kind of ritual thing or answer any questions, I'm happy to do it. So let me know.